Hello, lovely friend. I am Dr. Mary Barson.
And I'm Dr. Lucy Burns.
And this is the Real Health and Weight Loss Podcast. Hello, lovely listeners. Dr. Mary here for today's podcast. And I'm very excited and feeling very grateful and very humble to be joined by a wonderful member of our real life medicine community, the fabulous Barb. Barb, I would love you to share with our fabulous listeners a bit about you and a bit about how you came to real life medicine and what your journey has been like, because you've got a fabulous story to tell, particularly about some stuff you've been up to recently. So tell us about your beautiful self.
Thank you, Mary, for the invitation. I am a 59-year-old. My career was registered nursing. I worked for 35 years at the Children's Hospital, did a little bit of general practice, and I have been a lifelong dieter. I've been overweight since I was probably 8 years old. I started to put on weight, and it became very clear by the time I was a young, like a tweenie, 11, I was starting to get really hairy, and obviously that was very distressing, and I just got bigger and bigger. In my early 20s, I was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome by a lovely endocrinologist, and and unfortunately, back then, we didn't know what we know now. So I've done lots of diets, restricted myself to 600 calories a day under the direction of a doctor. I've been to Weight Watchers, and I've always eaten real food. I've had as a nurse, I had a desire to eat wholesome food and to cook from scratch. I like cooking. So I wasn't hugely into takeaway food or binge eating, but I couldn't maintain weight loss, and every time I stopped eating what I will call rabbit food, I would just put back more weight on than I had originally started. And so actually I'm quite happy to share this. Like 15 years ago, my brother died and from heart disease. And I had some orthopedic issues with my feet, and I couldn't exercise and dance as much as I had been. So I started to gain weight very quickly. And so I actually, with a BMI that was borderline, had a gastric band inserted, which was a tool. In hindsight, I suspect that because I was so mindful of my eating and prioritising protein even then, I actually probably had some sort of ketosis unbeknownst to me, and I did lose a significant amount of weight, probably to where I am now. And then I got married. And it wasn't that marriage made me happy or anything. It just meant that suddenly food became a priority again, because my husband is a type 1 diabetic. And so I had to start preparing meals. And so with that comes the social eating, and I started eating what is relatively normal, not voluminous, because I couldn't. I still have a restriction whether I like it or not. But I obviously had carbs with every meal that I ate. And I was probably eating 2 to 3 meals a day. I hadn't been eating since my early mid-20s. I stopped eating breakfast because I knew that made me hungry. And if I was hungry early in the morning, I would eat up to 5 meals a day. So I stopped that because that was a way of me restricting calories, I guess. So I would start eating about 11 o'clock. So then fast forward to Anzac Day, around that time, significant because I ate a lot of Anzac biscuits. And a friend had posted on your Real Life Medicine page that she had lost 20 kilos with following the program over the last year. And so she was just putting it out there for people to have a look. That coincided with me having some blood tests. That my HbA1c was pre-diabetic and I had fatty liver enzymes in my liver function tests, which was not where I wanted to be. So, I started exploring. I started reading. I did the 7-week no sugar challenge. I found my diary. I actually found a diary 2 days ago, and you may even remember me asking at various stages. I was terrified. I was anxious. I was scared that I'd never eat carbs again, and I was really scared that I would lose weight and then I would put on more than I had ever had before. But I did the 7 days, then I did the 12.
Yeah,
And then
for the 7 days
I went away
to
on
the
a
12
cruise.
weeks.
I think at day, so 7 days I did the 12-week program. I think on about the 9th week we left on a cruise, on a holiday, a 4-week holiday to go to Japan and Asia, and 2 of those weeks were on a cruise ship. And again, I was scared. How was I going to cope? And then come home, and now I'm joined the next stage to keep me going. So
Yes, now you're one of our beautiful
ecstatic.
Momentum members. We love having you in Momentum.
And I value, the information I've gained along the way, and the support's been incredible. And I want to share that with the world, because I wished I'd known when I was 40 or 35 what was possible. And as a nurse, I understand that I could only share the message that people have to be ready for change. And so, I was ready for change because those blood tests were extremely confronting to me. And so I've gone into it. The first 4 weeks were probably hard, really hard. The diary reflects that. And my woodshed opened, as we talk about, suddenly I wasn't hungry, and I became a nice person. Not my husband suffered shockingly enough. But yeah, it is really hard to give up easily made, ready to grab off a shelf biscuits and bread. But I've done it, and now I guess we're 20-something weeks down the tracks, 26 weeks or something. I don't actually it doesn't worry me. Like, I prepare that stuff for my grandchildren all the time, carbs for my husband all the time, and I don't want it. And my blood tests, and the proof's in the pudding. So I know we don't really celebrate weight goals, but for me, I can say I've lost 20% of my body weight in the time.
That's amazing.
And that didn't happen straight away. I would really like to impress upon people that the first 4 or 5 weeks were hard yakka. In fact, I put on a little bit of weight in the first week. And it wasn't until about the 5th week that I lost. But when I did lose, I actually lost a significant amount. And so I had to use every tool I possibly had for mindset during that time, to trust what you people were telling me and trust the process and just keep going. And it was well worth it, because now I've lost, like I said, 20% of my body weight, and my blood tests, my liver function tests, are a quarter of what they were, and they're now in the normal range. So
that's a definite
to be
fist pump
celebrated.
moment. Yes.
And I haven't had a HbA1c yet, so I'm due to have that next month. So we'll see how that goes.
That would be very interesting. I think it's totally okay to celebrate weight loss goals too, by the way. We're all about losing weight healthily, and not just, crash dieting or cutting off a leg to lose weight. You're a star. You've just done so well. And I got a little chills hearing your story, because it's It's just so similar to my story. That gaining weight around about 8 years old, getting those symptoms of PCOS in your adolescence, the hairiness, and then
Yeah.
the yo-yo dieting throughout my adult life. Oh my Lord, that was me too, but no longer.
Yeah, I think there was even a stage where I think I visited some doctor in Coburg who wanted to inject me with human growth hormone or something. And I actually did draw the line at that and went, oh, I don't know, I'm not really sure about that. It was a bit of I thought, no, I'm not doing that. So I didn't go there. But there was a lot of people who were targeting us, and we are vulnerable because it's not it's not acceptable socially. People do judge you when you're overweight, whether we like it or not. It was an uncomfortable space and really affected my self-esteem a lot over the years. So, yeah, it's hard work.
You said that you needed to use all your mindset skills to, make the changes, the real food changes fit into your life.
Yep.
Could you tell me a bit more about those mindset skills? Were they ones that we taught you, ones that you already had, a combination of both? How did
Yeah,
you
I did.
have
So
that transformation?
so it was a hard time for me because I actually had a very big knee injury in January. So I was actually laid up, like I wasn't able to do much physical stuff other than in the pool because I couldn't walk so much without tears. I just kept I listened to the hypnosis and I listened to the podcasts. I listened to everything you did. I participated as much as I could in the sessions, the weekly sessions, and the Facebook page, and interacting with the others who were going on the same journey. And we're all on a different journey. No two stories are the same. We've all got different backgrounds, different reasons for being overweight or metabolically unwell. And so it's not one size fits all, but we can use all the tools that we have access to help us. And I need to work more on listening more to hypnosis and listening and doing the extra things that we get to do. I'm not fantastic at that. I am, despite it's ridiculous, despite the fact that I can't work, I'm for some reason time poor. I don't know how that works, but
No, you've got people in your life that you've got things you do, people you look after.
yeah,
There's
and I
lots you do.
suppose what I'm doing is taking on the grandkids where historically, while I was at work, my husband looked after them. So, but I have taken that on. So he's now got more leisure time and I have more baby time. But yeah, so there's I do the hypnosis, especially in the night times, and that I found that I slept better, but recently I haven't. So, and some of that's a bit of pain, but so I do, if I'm awake, listen to hypnosis. Yeah, and I'm open to. I do love the sessions with you, and I do a lot of reading, and you offer us up a lot of extra resources to research. So I actually do spend a lot of time reading the scientific information in the background because that's my craft, and I really, really get a lot out of that. And on the side, I have a few friends. I live in a village, in a lifestyle village, and there's a few friends here that have been very curious, haven't taken the step to enter into, some of them are in your group and some are not. And so we share a little bit around what I research and have a little group that we sit together and chat about carbs and no carbs, and two of those ladies are doing keto for health reasons. One's part of your group and one's not. and they both do it under a doctor. So so we have a support group that's
that's lovely.
separate to
That connection,
but
it's so important that, it's like, I like to call it vitamin connect. Like we really do need it.
yeah.
And you've found it. And
Yes.
it's one of the things with Momentum too. In our Momentum membership, you've got your lovely community. Like it's online, but it's there.
That's
it's supportive.
correct. Yeah. And I'm not shy to share. If people, I mean, it's very noticeable that I've lost a lot of weight. So people ask me, and I'm careful how I say it. Probably if you say you do keto, that conjures up some negative connotations for people. So I generally say that I have removed carbohydrates from my diet because I don't see my diet as unhealthy. The only thing that's missing from my plate is potatoes, pasta, rice and bread, biscuits, and anything and the stuff that I personally wouldn't have eaten before. So I wasn't a person that spent a lot of time buying pre-prepared bases for dinners. I make my food with the herbs and spices off the shelf.
That's it.
and the herbs in the garden. So it's the food is amazing. Like
tell me, how do you feel about the food that you eat now?
I eat exactly the same as I ate before, except I've cut out the carbs, the seed oils, anything that's got numbers in it. So the food additive numbers, I don't like. If I had one, it would be very rare and not something that's soap or what else do we do? I eat berries. I don't eat other fruit. I eat berries. I still eat onions. I still have a little tiny bit of carrot.
Fine.
Which is on the orange, like they're on the orange list. But so what I can tell you is that, and I'm not perfect. So you don't have to be perfect.
No.
I sometimes have real white sauce twice a week, just made with 1 teaspoon of corn flour, and I'm honest about that. Like, I'm not going to tell people that I don't do that and give them a false sense that I've cut absolutely everything out. But I certainly don't eat potato, and I don't eat the pasta. I don't eat rice, and I don't eat bread, and I don't eat biscuits unless they're the Olena. There's some seed crackers that Olena make
good.
that are actually occasionally, if we're eating cheese, I might have one of those. But I don't need them.
Do you tell me, like, I'd love to know a little bit more about, like, how you were feeling back when you were stuck in that diet land. You said you were on 600 calories a day diet under medical supervision, but that's extreme restriction, and you did Weight Watchers and you were eating rabbit food. You could lose weight, but it would bounce back.
I was always hungry.
Yes.
So during those times, 600 calories, Weight Watchers, I was hungry all the time. And in Weight Watchers, I would save points. So I would eat an egg for breakfast with a piece of toast. And I would eat the same things every day. Egg for breakfast with a piece of toast. I made minestrone soup, which was 1 point. I had minestrone every day. And I did this for probably a year.
Wow.
I wanted to get pregnant, so I had to lose the weight. So minestrone soup, and then we would have like dinner, and it would be from one of the Weight Watchers books. When I was doing 600 calories, I can't even, like, I was in my 20s, but I remember there being lots of lettuce, tomatoes, salads, beans, fish, because fish, you got more calories out of fish. I was hungry. I was starving, and I did starve myself. And unfortunately, I had a massive car accident on the way home from work. Not my fault. And I was severely injured and obviously in hospital. And then I couldn't exercise. And that I put on probably 20 kilos after that. It was just that creeping. You go, Lisa, lose some, gain more, lose some, gain even more, to the point where I probably had a BMI over 40. I don't really know. It was extremely high and very distressing. I was wearing size 22 clothes. Gosh, help me. I looked terrible. And I couldn't move. I was getting restricted in movement and everything. So, yeah, that's hard. Those diets are soul destroying, really. And then you think, well, what's wrong with me? And you'd look at other people, you would go, they can eat all that and they're relatively slim, but why can't I? And it just wasn't fair. Where this has provided me with the answers, and I'm now of the absolute mindset, carbohydrates are just not for me. Like, I don't metabolize carbohydrate properly. If I do have a sneaky carbohydrate, I get hungry. And then when you get hungry, you start looking for things, and I don't want to feel that. I don't feel hungry anymore, and I don't feel my tummy. Like, I have no awareness of my abdominal workings on the whole, where before I was bloated and I had joint pain. My joint pain's gone. On the whole, my small joint pain. My nodules have all got, like, they're not really there anymore.
Cool.
I even noticed, funny, I've had this little nodule thing in my mouth for so long. The dentist has been watching it, and I realised the other day it's gone. And I'm like, oh, how did that happen? That's just disappeared.
It's like the magic of real food. Everything's healing. I love that.
Weird. Yeah.
It's cool, you got one less thing to worry about
when
now.
we say about real food, obviously I didn't use olive oil. I used some olive oil. They always had it. But I cooked in rice bran oil. So one thing we learnt from you and Lucy and the other doctors that promote this lifestyle is that seed oils are not good for us. And so I cut out all of those. I mean, obviously you can't control that when you're in a restaurant. You've got to kind of not get anxious about
You
that.
don't need to be perfect.
Because you can't. But at home you can. So I've done it at home, and we eat real butter now, not a mix. So I've made quite a few changes in the fridge from that end that I thought previously were healthy. So now
fabulous.
I'm enlightened.
Yes, you are enlightened and doing so well. How are you feeling kind of physically within yourself now?
Oh, great. So my knee, my knee is not perfect and never will be perfect because the injury I sustained is really irreparable in a 60-year-old. I'm not an athlete. So it's uncovered underlying arthritis. So it's not going to be perfect. But obviously taking 20 kilos off a knee has helped a lot. So now
Definitely.
I can walk. It still hurts, but I can walk. It's hard to go hiking or anything like that because uneven surfaces are challenging and painful. But I am doing more than what I was, and I feel, I don't know, I feel good. I feel mostly energetic. I wake up in the morning with energy. I sleep well. I have energy. I never have no energy. Yesterday we went to Melbourne, and normally I would prepare boiled eggs to take with me and cheese because I don't want to go and eat in places where the protein, you could go out and eat, but often the amount of protein you get is very minimal. And so usually that meal after lunch is my first meal of the day. So I actually want it to be a decent amount of protein. And I forgot it. I didn't have any food with me.
Yep.
Sitting on the kitchen bench. So the kids all had their food, sandwiches, berries and things. So I just made that. We stopped in Williamstown on the way back. We went to a park and I just fed the kids and they ran around and I went, oh, well, I'm just not going to eat. So I didn't eat. And then eventually we got, I ate a little bit of pork about 3 or 4 o'clock, which I just ate a little bit and that was enough until we came home and we had dinner. But it wasn't like I was like, oh, I'm ravenous, I've got to eat. Just doesn't happen. It's really fascinating. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I know.
And I love what you
How
described.
Cool is that?
It is so cool. It is so cool that we can do this. You were struggling, like it was hard yakka until about that week 4 or 5. And so
yes,
what was happening,
very much so. Like my husband was eating his things and he would have to have the way he was set up with his pub, he would have to have supper. So he'd be eating bananas and custard and stuff like that. And I'd be like, every spoon that hit the bowl, I'd want to rip his head off. I was like, could you just leave? It's like, it was awful. It was like,
yes, that
really
was while
bad.
you were still healing your metabolism and opening your woodshed and becoming a fat burner. But then what was it like after that 4 to 5 weeks when you became a fat burner? You opened that woodshed. I just became
focused. Yeah, I opened it up and then I just became focused on real food and prioritising the protein. And so the way I started to eat was I would actually put pumpkin on my plate most nights if we have it. But often I don't eat it because and it's a strategy I use. If it's there, it's not like I can't have it. And I know like it's an orange food. But sometimes I might just have like a half a teaspoon of it and that's enough. But I try to prioritise my protein. So generally I eat whatever meat first with a little bit of vegetable, but not all of the vegetable, so that my protein is the majority of the food in that initial stage is protein. And then I actually start to feel full fairly quickly. And, some days I'll finish my meal and some days I don't. Yeah. But I don't have to finish it. You don't have to finish your meal. It's just because it's there doesn't mean you have to eat it. And I just listen. I probably eat mindfully and listen to my body and the feedback that I'm getting from it. So you can get a bit caught up in...
You're in tune with your body now.
You can get a bit caught up in going, make sure you eat enough protein. But you shouldn't... I feel like you need to make sure you don't make yourself feel overfull and uncomfortable. And, I mean, I do, again, an honesty, I do drink a little bit of protein powder in the form of the tasteless collagen one each day because
if you've had a
gastric
band, I actually think that's a really sensible thing to do. That's something that we talk about. Yeah, absolutely.
So I try to keep my proteins at their up in the range where they're supposed to be. Again, I'm 60. Postmenopausal, muscle is so important for me to keep. Because I don't want my muscle wasting away.
No, it's so important.
I do that to make sure that, when I'm doing my strength, my training, my rehab, that I try and build muscle with protein. But yeah, that obviously depends how much protein you have to have and how much. I can't whack down I couldn't eat 200 grams of steak. That would be too much for me, unless I didn't eat anything else at all. So, so I usually have I probably have 14 grams of protein a day. So half in the morning and half in the evening in tea. Cup of tea. Yeah. And I do the cream with my coffee.
Yeah. Lovely.
I don't do milk.
Delicious cream with coffee. You can totally do that with the real food diet.
That was So that was another thing in the beginning. The cream in your drink felt like I was naughty.
Yes. So much to
And that's
unlearn.
a throwback. Yes, you have to unlearn all of that. Eggs are bad for you. Cream is naughty. All those cheese, lots of cheese. I mean, I get away with the dairy products, but I've discovered cottage cheese isn't so awful anymore.
Yeah. It's good. It can be good.
Because that's a
with the right
throwback
way.
to Weight Watchers when we would have, most people who listen to this will have been to Weight Watchers, I assume, and would have been encouraged to eat low-fat cottage cheese.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, we, the cottage cheese that I would recommend is the Bulla high-protein cottage cheese. That's yummy. And I eat that. I put berries on that and a bit of cinnamon, and it's quite sweet.
Sounds
and that's
delicious.
the other thing. Once you get going, you can smell sweet and you can taste everything is super sweet. So you might think you're going to need sugar or alternatives forever, but if you cut it out, you actually start to taste food again.
Yes.
And everything tastes so more intense, the flavours, and everything, even carrots, pumpkin, beetroot, all of those are really, you can taste the sugar in them. They're sweet vegetables.
Food, that's right. Yes, your taste gets retrained and you just discover that joy of real food. I know what you mean. Yeah. Oh.
So I would encourage anybody who's, thinks they're metabolically unstable to, have a go, get tested. Ask your doctor. I know not all doctors are forthcoming at giving you what you want, but I think if you keep asking for the tests, the insulin and etc., to know the real story, I think it's our right to have those done. And I tell all the doctors, my orthopedic surgeons looked it up. I had to go and see another orthopedic surgeon yesterday, and he wrote it all down on his back of his folder.
I love it. Grassroots education, Barb. That's what we need. Yes.
Well, if we can change it, and so that's for me. If we can just share this more with people who want to know, and if they can give it a go and discover, then maybe it'll change their life too. Because I'm not going back. I'm never going back to full on carbs. I'm not saying I wouldn't eat if I was in Paris and there was a delicious cake there. I'm not going to say that I would have it, because I would want to experience that in a special place. So I'm not going to say that it means that I can never, ever have a cake again. But I'm not going to eat a junkie cake just because it's there. And I do drink alcohol. And
Good.
of course, I went on holidays and I drank alcohol every day.
Yep.
So you probably wanted to talk about that, about when I went away.
I do,
holidays.
Yes. And I love that you drink alcohol every day and still achieve all your health and weight loss goals. That's excellent. And yes, beautiful human. I loved seeing you in the coaching calls, and you were off on your cruise and you were just nailing it. So tell us a little bit about how you stayed on track while cruising the world.
So we went to Japan first, and we were in Japan for a week. And so, as people will know, there's a lot of noodles and ramen and rice and everything. So I was concerned, how am I going to navigate this? But I had my protein powder with me, my trusty protein powder. And sometimes I would go to breakfast and I would not eat because I didn't want to eat early. But when you travel Europe in the Northern Hemisphere, it's pretty rare that you can't get boiled eggs in a buffet-style breakfast situation. They just have boiled eggs for whatever reason. So I would just grab a couple of boiled eggs, whack them in a coffee cup, grab some salt and pepper and a piece of butter, and off I would go. And then
Perfect.
if I was out during the day and I needed to eat, I had my trusty boiled eggs there as my backup. And then when we would go into restaurants, like my friends wanted to eat a lot of noodles and ramen and soba and that, I would just ask for mine with no noodles. So I would try and find the soup that had the most protein, that looked like the most protein on it. And then in Japan, I would eat the soup, the broth. And some of those broths were really rich, like almost collagen. Like my daughter told me what they're called, but they're really thick and creamy, sort of not. Anyway, I would eat those. For dinner, I would try and go to Korean barbecue, or I just would try and make sure I had protein. If for alcohol, I drank gin or vodka with soda water and lime juice, and it was really hot. And then, so when we got onto the cruise ship, it became easy because you've got the buffet there and the main dining room that'll adjust things if you want them. You just say, I don't want any potato, or I want 2 lots of green vegetables, and on the whole, the amount of protein you got was good. I would go into the buffet and they would have things like the roast. So most ships will have a roast of the day sort of thing. So you can go to the carvery and just get meat, and you can get your vegetables. There's always salad. Most places have a pasta bar that will cook fresh for you. So I would lob up to the pasta bar and I would grab some salmon and a few veggies that were on the green list and hand them to the chef and say, can you cook that for me, please?
Amazing.
And I don't put the pasta in.
Yeah.
So you can do it. Because you just got to trust that you don't actually need the pasta to be, it's just garbage. It just fills up your plate and it's cheap. And so it actually, only thing it adds is a texture. It doesn't add anything else. And you can train yourself to go without that texture. And so, the desserts, they're not amazing desserts. They're just sweet and, just go without them. You don't have to have them. And what else? Because they're not really nice. They're just
You think they are
mass-produced.
That's right.
And then I could tell you that Singapore was by far the hardest. So Singapore was a challenge because there is a lot of sneaky carbs in food in Singapore, and they have a really sweet tooth. So that actually, I went to places like a French bakery and bought the baguette, and I just take the inside out of the baguette and leave the bread on the plate.
Good tip.
And
yes.
And there was plenty of protein in that. I would eat satay. The satay's got a bit of sugar in it, but I didn't find that it caused any main issues for me. And then obviously anywhere through Asia, you can get roast pork, roast duck, cut off, sliced off with lots of crackling and all that anywhere. So I ate pork, I ate duck, I ate the green vegetables, the satay sticks, chicken, eggs. They eat lots of eggs. And that's kind of how I navigated it. And I did I do intermittent fasting. That's how I managed. And I drank anything with soda. I had 2 cocktails while I was away, just as a treat. They were very sweet. And I thought, I don't really need that. So, and I came back. I didn't lose weight while I was on holidays. I think I came back. Oh, hang on. I initially lost about 1 or 2 kilos, and then I stayed the same for the rest, and then I lost weight when I came home. But I was still in low-end ketosis. I managed to maintain really low if I tested. But it can be done. Like, There are options. And I even ate the casseroles, and you've got no idea. Like, obviously I can't control the oils and I can't control the thickeners and what they put in the casseroles. I did eat them, but if they tasted sweet, really sweet, I just thought, nah, go and get something else. That's the joy about being on a cruise.
Yeah.
You can actually get it,
Totally.
taste it, go and get something else if it's not suitable. If they've put a lot of sugar in it, easy.
So good. You had
How's
this
that?
fantastic transformation and mind and body, and you did it while you're traveling. You're such a legend.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I missed out on anything. And I'm not particularly that strong. Like, I'm not. It's only through this and through the change in hunger that's helped. That because of what we do, and because I don't feel hungry, it's not constantly chattering away in my head to eat or find treats. And, I still eat a bit of dark chocolate, and I enjoy dark chocolate now, where I hated dark chocolate before. If I have tried a piece of milk chocolate somewhere, that's way, like, you just change. And if you just trust the process, follow the guidelines and the lists, eventually you'll change forever. And those habits and memories of before, I think, dissipate and quieten. And it's just like, it's enlightening, and you're free because food's not controlling you anymore. And I think that's probably the ultimate. When food shouldn't be controlling us. Like, I think of food as nutrition now. And I remember being like that when I had 15 years ago. I was like, prioritize my protein then, because I knew I had to, because that was, and vitamins. So yeah, just don't let food control our lives.
I love it. Oh,
It's what we need for fuel.
absolutely. We've got another 7-day no sugar challenge coming up November 25. So at $7 for 7 days. What would you say to people who are thinking about joining our 7-day no sugar challenge?
Absolutely. Dip your toe in the water and find out what's available and go for it. It is life-changing. And it's not going to be a miracle 7 weeks, but it's going to give you 7 days. It's going to give you a taste of what there is and the tools available to help you. But just do it and reach out and discover and open up the world of low carb and real food, because I can't tell you how valuable it has been for me metabolically and from a physical point of view, like the change it's made to how I look, how I feel, how I move, and how much pain I have. If you ask me to carry 20 kilos now down the road, I'd be like, oh, you're kidding, I can't carry 20 kilos. I can't carry my grandchildren. But that's my grandchildren way less than what I've lost. So, and I can't carry them. So, but I was every day on my joints. So my back doesn't hurt anymore. I used to have back pain all the time. So there's a lot of what we call you'll learn this, off-scale victories. And for me, off-scale victories are decreased skeletal pain, decreased finger pain. My head is more clear. My skin's probably more clear. And yeah, I just, and I'm not driven by food. I'm not looking for my next meal. I'm planning for nutrition and feeding my family, and I do have to, like, I am a granny and I have the kids a couple of days a week because of the girls' situation. So that I'm a granny full time when that happens. The kids sleep over. So I'm preparing those porridges and toasts and all those snacks that kids eat, and I don't eat them. I don't have to. I don't want to. So you can do it. You just got to have a go.
Yes. And well, you've shared
So-
your story with the world today, and thank you so much. Honestly, thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much for
Thank you,
I love
Mary.
it. You're an absolute star, and you've done so well, and you've been really, really generous today sharing your story and your fabulous transformation. So thank you so much, Barbara. I absolutely have loved having
Thank you, Dr. Mary.
The information shared on the Real Health and Weight Loss podcast, including show notes and links, provides general information only. It is not a substitute, nor is it intended to provide individualised medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor can it be construed as such. Please consult your doctor for any medical concerns.